Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom. What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy from Brass Van Reptiles.
And I'm Robin. I'm keeping it real.
Hey, and we're dancing all the way into the new year. Heck yeah, man. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I am just barely still alive, which is good.
We're glad you made it.
Yes. Yeah, I've already done a little bit of herping so far this year. I didn't find any snakes yet, but I've already been out. But this weekend it's supposed to be like 30 degrees or 40 degrees out by me, so I don't think I'm going to see anything this weekend.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe
Nah.
not. But you found December snakes, which
I did find
was
a
good.
few December snakes, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year capped out nice. All 12 months, snakes, at least one snake found, at least two snakes found every month of the year. So that's
Heck
basically every month since I moved here, except for I think one or two.
All right. Not bad. Not bad. Not
take it.
bad. Yeah, right. Right. So, all right. So now January we can have our cold snap, and then it needs to go back to decent weather. Because if Rob doesn't
Yeah.
find his monthly snake, the world is a slightly less happy place.
I'll be really disappointed if I strike out the first month of the year.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh,
How are you doing?
I'm surviving, man. I am admittedly still exhausted. I played a big New Year's Eve event out in Wilmington, North Carolina, and didn't get
Hell
back
yeah.
until like 6 a.m. and it just totally like wrecked my sleep schedule for the last couple of days. So I'm chugging along.
We're getting there.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's also like in the midst of massive hustle to take care of everything because I leave on Sunday to go to Chile for a week, which I'm looking forward to.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So for those who don't know, my partner is singing on a cruise ship. He's in South America, and I was able to plan out 1 week where I can go down and visit him while he's on the ship. So I'll be in Chile for a week. So it's the mad dash to get everything as up to snuff as possible, feed stuff the day before I go, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so that is coming quickly. It feels like the days are just like rushing past. But I'm super excited about that. And in the meantime, I've just been staring at snakes. Looks like I'm going to have at least one clutch of albino carpets this year, which will be cool. And maybe a clutch of Borneos. Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, a little something. And I'm going to have a really early ball python clutch this year, like super early. I've got a female that's like right on the cusp of ovulating, which I was not expecting, but
Interesting.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about early babies. So it's a girl that reabsorbed last year. So she was like super primed and ready this year. And I guess I just started pairing her at the right time because she was just developing super fast. And when I took a look at her today, I was like, you are about to ovulate within the next week. So perfect.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then Amazon shenanigans are happening. I noticed a few females are starting to build and look a little thick towards the back end. So we might have a few girls early cycling, which I'm also not mad about whatsoever.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. Just a lot happening all at once. So it's very much like a cacophony of moving parts and elements right now, but all good things.
Yep. Hell yeah. Dude, that's freaking tight. And before we get too far into it, tonight's episode is brought to you by Black Box Cages. Make sure if you're looking for a new rack or an enclosure, check them out. Lots of customization options available. They got some phenomenal enclosures, quickest turnaround time in the game. And I believe there's a sponsor of our guest tonight, which I'm super pumped to have on.
Bam, let's go.
We got Mr. Justin Smith from the Herpetoculture Network, from Fulvius Apparel, from Palmetto Coast Exotics. and the thing and the thing and the thing.
And then, what's up, man?
Hello.
Hell yeah, a fellow Post-Lotharia fan
That's
in the
right.
house.
That's right. We share the tattoo, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Mine's all scratched up because I like an elderly person fell in my garage a couple weeks ago.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Now, but I went down hard and went face first into my brand new toolbox and scratched my glasses. Kind of surprised I didn't break my nose. And so
Really,
everyone's been roasting me in the friend group as far as that goes. But
oh man,
yeah.
But, damn. Well, thankfully it wasn't worse. Thankfully it wasn't worse.
Me too. I laid there for a few seconds and just kind of waited for the pain of something broken to just start. And
that's how you know it's a fall. When you just lay there for a sec, you're like, oh shit.
Like, did that just happen? And B, wait, what did I break?
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Yeah. Dang, man.
That's fucking funny.
He hasn't figured out beer legs yet. I had like 2 beers, and of course they're like, you can't handle your alcohol.
Oh man, that's funny.
Bruh.
That's funny.
You gotta have friends that make fun of you. It keeps you.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Either that or a Ring camera, so that it can be publicized at a later date.
I kind of wish I had gotten it on film so I could see exactly how hard I went down, because it was pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Sheesh. Sheesh. Oh man.
Damn, bro. Well, for the people who might not have heard of you, I don't know how, if they found our show, how they might not have heard of you, but for those people, what kind of brought you up to where you're at? And you got your hand in multiple different things, from the Herpetoculture Network, from the magazine to the network, and Fulvius Apparel, and the stuff you're doing with your colubrids. What do you got? Show us what you got.
Oh man, I mean it's definitely a lot. So I've been into reptiles pretty much as far back as I can remember, and I'll give you all the sort of the short and skinny version. Kept snakes pretty much my entire life, minus 1 or 2 years here or there. Dad was military, so he moved around a lot. But snakes were kind of always, or reptiles, I guess in particular, were always kind of the thing that went with me wherever I went. So it was kind of the one thing I could take with me no matter where we were living at the time, because we did do a lot of moving around. Started the podcast, was it 2016 or 17? Started the podcast with Jacob Bratz. Eventually, over time, I started the ChondroCast because I was super hyper focused on green trees for a period of time. And then that kind of just evolved into the network as sort of more people came along that we sort of got brought into the fold, and new show ideas and things like that. And then the magazine sort of was an offshoot of that, of sorts, where I was working in that industry for a period of time. And so then I was like, well, now that I know sort of how to do it and how to run it, like, let's do one. And so we did Herpetoculture magazine for, I think it was 2 or 3 years. And then that kind of dissolved. That's a very hard, because it was a free digital magazine, and then there was like hard copies you could buy if you wanted to. And if anyone's ever been in that line of work where it's sort of 100% advertiser driven, that sort of keeps it afloat and pays the bills. Yeah. Pop out something monthly, which we were. It gets tougher and tougher sort of as time goes on. It's sort of
right.
Diminishing returns is the turn of phrase. But
yeah.
Anyway, it just got tougher and tougher. It just got to the point to where myself and Phil Wolf and Billy Hunt, we were sort of the three amigos on that. It just got to the point where it was just getting tougher to do, and we eventually just decided to shelve it. Said we'd come back to it, and then unfortunately that never happened. But then started Fulvius Apparel within the last year and a half, give or take. Again, working in apparel and stuff currently as my day job. I was like, again, let me take these things that I've learned and the things that I now know how to do, and figure out a way to tie that into herps and herpetoculture. because that's basically just been the theme of everything is how can I somehow make it about reptiles in some way, shape, or
Yes.
Hell yeah.
so that's what my life has just been is like, how can I somehow make this have a snake on it or something else, So here,
Literally.
Hell yeah.
When I
man.
was a kid, I could not learn things unless it related to reptiles, like to the point where my elementary school teachers had to write home to my parents and be like, "Hey, I know that Robert's really into the whole snake thing, but some of the vocab words don't have anything to do with reptiles and he can't write about them." And I was just like, well, I can't learn things now.
Yeah.
yeah. If you can't make algebra work somehow by sneaking in, some carpet pythons or something, then I'm sorry. It's just a lost cause. Then it's not applicable and it's not important.
Yeah.
Listen, man,
X
Punnett
needs to equal
squares.
snake.
Punnett squares.
We'd be learning about the Civil War and stuff and be like, did you guys know the first official recorded death of the Civil War was from a coral snake bite?
Yeah.
I will find a way.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
That's so legit, though. Like, hey, did you guys know that Ben Franklin actually wanted the timber rattlesnake to be the original symbol for for the colonies, the United States? It's like people don't even know.
What are you
They have
talking
no
about?
idea.
You're so weird.
But literally, though.
Well, I gotta say that I'm really hyped about Fulvius Apparel in particular because, for a long time, the only staple shirt that you could get was kind of like the eco-wear ones.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like the eco-wear stuff and I love Tel Hicks art and all that stuff. But seeing the stuff that you've been able to take, some of the more niche things, and then put those on shirts, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I was with it too. I love Tel Hicks work too and everything. And I have that old green tree python shirt with the different conjures on it.
Yes,
And
on the different perches. Yeah.
anytime I wear it, my wife always just is like, you can't wear that. Like we're going to dinner. She's like, you can't wear it. She equates it to like two wolves howling at the moon levels of
No.
and I'm like, look, lady, it's called fashion. Look it up, first of all. I was like, it's a green tree shirt. There's nothing cooler than a green tree shirt. And so, again, I was like, I'd see things where it's like, man, I wish I had a rhino rat shirt or, like sort of super niche within a niche kind of things of herpetoculture of like the way I look at it is species and different genre are like sports teams, and the people that are into those sports teams, like NFL, for example, like Jake's a hardcore Green Bay guy. And so it's like anything with a Green Bay logo on it, Jake has it. And so I'm like, why can't herpwear sort of be the same thing? It's like, yeah, it may be a species. It may be like a Tractaspis or something, the stiletto snakes that Phil's big into. Like there's probably less than 10 people in the country really doing anything with those, but it's like, I'll make a shirt and put that out there because I know those guys are going to be super stoked just to have something that's got those on it. It's like there's someone out there that is going to be willing, and I'm in a really good sort of position with the t-shirts and stuff to where I can make things to order. So I'm not having to sit on massive amounts of inventory and I don't have to worry about things not selling. Like I can put as many designs up as I want because they're all literally made to order. So that opens me up to be able to do a lot of stuff like that where traditionally you probably wouldn't unless you had to, really bulk up on inventory as far as sizes and colors and design options and stuff, which can just take up so much space so quick and it's expensive. So I'm fortunate in that regard.
That is a very lucky spot to be in, and being able to see some of the more niche shirts, I have a deep appreciation for that because, like you're saying, it's like how many people know what a Theraceratophora is? But like every time that I wear that shirt, people are like, "Yo, that shirt is fucking sick! That thing's awesome."
The people that know get it. It's like that. Don't be a hemipene shirt. That's the biggest. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, but if you're in the loop, you're fully clued into what it's about. It's the same.
Yep.
I've seen one of those shirts at just about every expo that I've been at recently.
Really?
Yes.
It's
a
sold
good
well. It's been a bestseller. So
it's a good shirt. It's a good shirt. There was another weird kind of off hit one like that. I forgot who did it, but it was like you want to see my hog with just a hog
Oh
nose.
yeah,
There's some
yeah.
hog nose breeder that put that out or whatever. Yeah.
No, it's New England Herp Society. I have that shirt.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was the New England Herp Society. Yeah, that's right. That was a good one.
That's one that you got to just watch where you wear it sometimes, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. That's an expo, pretty much an expo only shirt.
Yeah.
I had some people that were like, I can't buy that because I can't wear it to like PTO meetings.
Like you're wearing
Like, well, there's
t-shirts to
another
PTO meetings?
like 6 days of the week.
Literally.
You don't have to wear it to the P. Like I didn't put it out there with you being able to take it and wear it to church. Like,
Yeah.
what?
But think about how funny it would be if you got like a polo shirt with the little thing right here. It's just a picture of the hemipenes on it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. A lot of people, they like non-herp people think that it's some sort of plant or like mushroom or something. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's exactly
mushroom.
what
I can see people
Yep.
thinking it's a mushroom.
Absolutely.
It's like just the
Bingo.
tip, though.
But it's also the perfect segue of like, did you know that snakes have 2 wieners?
Yeah.
True.
And then
it is a good
people are
segue
like,
for education.
Like, yeah, they're like ambidextrous. They got one on each
but
side.
also
You never know which side you're going to be on. So
there's only one opening though, so it's like they had the opportunity and then they reverse engineered it.
it's a marvel of modern medicine and science. So
Yeah.
people gotta know. People are amazed that they have like
man.
sexual reproduction in the first place.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
They're
say
like,
between
"Oh my
that and
God, that's how they do
defecation,
it?"
they're like, what? They can do that?
It's like they're not amoebas.
Yeah.
Right.
It requires a
I get a lot of people who
daddy's
are like, where do they pee from? And I'm like,
Yep.
or they're like, do they pee? Do they poop? And I'm like, yes, it is a living creature. What do you mean does it pee and poop?
I like asking.
I put it in terms of birds, and like when you see a bird poop on your car, like the white stuff, that's pee. It's a solidified form, like it's a moment. It's a learning experience. It's a teachable moment.
I like asking those people who are like, wait, does it even poop or pee? It's like, well, where do you think it comes from? Just, I want to know where your thought process is.
Well, here's the deal. A lot of people
Tell
think that snakes are just a long tail.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Well, I've had people tell me that they think it's like an owl. It just like regurgitates like an owl pellet. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, but okay.
No.
I've had people tell me that they think it's something with the tip of the tail. Like it suddenly just comes out of the tip of the tail. And I'm just like,
oh my goodness.
A for effort, guys.
Opens
A for
up
effort.
like a little hatch in the little mini submarines.
Exactly. Just like weep, and we're out of there. Like, nah, not quite. But yeah, those of you who have thought that, A for effort. A for effort. And I hope I did educate you otherwise, because if I didn't, then I just laughed and walked away. So
For fucking real.
Yeah. I dig it, man.
So have you found your South Carolina coral yet? What's the deal with that, huh, man?
Oh, see, so I named
Takes
my
a long
business.
drag.
I named my business after coral snakes, hoping that maybe that would please the coral gods enough to where they would bless me with being able to see them on a regular basis. This past year, I saw my first live one in like over a decade, and it was right in my backyard.
Oh no, yeah,
it was right in my backyard, man. Like literally, I don't know, 15 steps from my bedroom window.
Damn.
Dang.
Unfortunately, I didn't see it for very long because once it was in this sort of this tree, hollowed out tree that's still alive, but the base of it there's nothing in there, and it was chasing some baby rat snakes actually because I found some baby yellows. I found some baby yellows. I saw the coral in there first and was like, oh, that's weird. Like, why is it climbing up in this like tree hollow? Like, that's strange. I'd never seen one above the ground like that. And looked up, and there was a baby yellow rat hanging out, like fresh out of the egg yellow rat. And so I was like,
Damn.
Oh wow.
okay. And so the coral, after I had attempted to hook it out the first time, went back down and kind of disappeared for a few minutes. And I was like, okay, I think it's gone. Because usually once they disappear, like they Houdini, I don't know where they go. They just teleport. They're like interdimensional. You
Yep.
know, as soon as you blink, they're gone. It's gone. But
Fossil
found that,
snake magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Found that baby yellow rat, and then saw the coral again. Managed to sort of corral it. It came out of that tree stump, and then as soon as it like hit open air and stuff, it darted. And those things are quick, man. When they want to move, they move. And then I found another baby yellow rat in that same, like 10 minutes later, caught both of them, popped them. It's a pair. Gave it to Jake,
Hey.
who's a big yellow rat guy. And so I was like,
Yeah.
look, now you got a pair of locality yellow rats right here from the island I live on. So
the Jake Smith locale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the first live one I've seen in a long time. I've seen plenty of dead ones like on my street. You know, I saw two of them within like 4 yards of each other, just absolutely road pizzaed.
Damn.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And like every time I'd see them, they were dead. You know, they'd get hit on the road right around the corner from my house. Like the island I live on here in South Carolina has one of the healthiest populations of coral snakes in the state. And I don't see any shortage of dead ones, but seeing a live one is like, I'm cursed.
You know what you should do? Dude, this year when you hatch out babies, right? Take some of those eggs and like throw them underneath a board or in that like tree hollow, or like put them underneath something in the back, something that you can go check. And I bet you that smell of the albumin and the egg and stuff, I bet you that'll draw some in.
That'd be worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because there's a small lot right next door to my house that's got like 3 or 4 magnolia trees on it. So there's magnolia leaves everywhere.
Damn.
It's
perfect cover.
It's perfect cover for corals and stuff like that, man. And there's no shortage of tantilla and ringnecks and steraria, and a lot of legless lizards too. So I think that's a big part of the reason why I think there's a big population of corals, is just because there's a lot of food options for them here. You know, being mostly snake eaters. So
that's cool.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
next
sick.
year I'm gonna see another one, and then I'm gonna finally find me an eastern diamondback.
Hey,
hell yeah.
That's it. And that's all I ask.
Just don't get bit in the leg, okay? When you're not.
Oh God. Yeah.
I'm curious to see if the eggs would actually draw in those corals to your specific area. Because if they came after those yellow rats after they're pretty fresh, even if you took some fresh baby snake sheds and put them in your backyard area, I bet you that you could bring some in.
That's true.
I'm curious as to if I got a big enough like pile of them under said tin or something.
Yeah.
Like make a mega magnet. But I don't know, because I breed my own rodents and stuff too, and I have a giant, I call it Mount Ratmore, and it's like all the old shavings and stuff from when I clean, every other week. And I always expected to see a lot of stuff hanging out around that because of the smell and stuff. And it's very rare that I actually find anything, because I have a very small little stack of tin right next to it. And you'd be surprised. Like that is probably the most barren patch of tin out of my handful of stacks that I have. Like I think I found a racer under it once or twice. That's it. Like nothing hangs out near that pile.
That's super interesting.
Maybe it's because of the rat thing, and because it's rats, like they know that adult rats are kind of no joke and can actually do some damage. So maybe they're not willing to go near it. I don't know, but totally the opposite of what I thought that I would get from that. Because I was like, this is perfect. It's gonna be. I'll put some tin here, and I'm just gonna kill it every spring. It's just gonna be a magnet. I'm gonna be finding everything I could possibly want. Not the case.
Nothing.
Hard to see anything like that. Yeah,
dang.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So does anything go into the rat shed? Have you ever found anybody snuck in?
That hasn't happened in a while, but there was a period of time where I had yellow rats coming in there all the time, and they somehow they'd managed to get into the mouse bins and just go to town,
eat everything. Yeah.
Yep.
And then because they ate so much, they couldn't get out.
They couldn't get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there'd be 4 mice in the corner, like all huddled up and freaking out, and one just extremely fat and really pissed off yellow rat on the other end. And then I found a baby copperhead at one point, but lately it's just been damn possums and raccoons. They keep digging under the door because it's a big barn door, and they figured out they could just dig underneath that and get in. So I've been setting up a trap regularly, and I go and release whatever gets caught and just keep doing that until they get the picture, which I don't think they will. It's a free meal. They're eating all the expensive Calmback rodent diet that I spent $50 every other week on freaking Chewy, feeding the local raccoons and possums. So possums I actually like. The raccoons I'm not as thrilled to see. The possums I'm like, whatever. You guys are horribly adorable. The raccoons I'm like, y'all can go to hell.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Man, I used to hate when we were at Nerd going in to grab rodent feed, and you find the bag that got demolished by squirrels or some other rodent that came in and just like wrecked it, and you're like going to move it, and you're just like, oh well, great. Now there's a mess everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
I keep my bag in like a metal trash can that they have yet to figure out how to get into, so it's worked. But
yeah,
I even had it in
one of the
plastic containers with the screw-on lid that people use for like dog food.
Yeah,
something over the course of like several weeks chewed a hole through the lid of that, and that is ridiculously thick and hard plastic. Like there was like blood around the edge and stuff. I'm like, whatever wanted to get in there, like it was motivated.
Really wanted to get in there.
I ended up having to trash that, which sucks because those things are expensive. But the metal trash can, they can't figure it out. It's got a force field or something around it. I don't know.
You got to get better shims, man. If they're getting in, you got to get the shims.
I need to get some sort of metal sheeting or something to put at the base of that door to stop them from digging in.
Yeah.
I used to take the little, like the plastic mouse traps that have the little teeth and stuff, and I'd set it, I'd put it right, like Home Alone that shit, and put it right into that hole so that as soon as they'd crawl in, they'd like get hit by it or something. Kevin McAllister their asses.
How long did that work before they figured it out?
I don't know. Every time I'd go and look, that trap would be
snapped.
So
dang,
learned.
Yeah.
I think one just disappeared, so I'm assuming it's still attached to that possum or something.
Oh man.
Oh no.
I mean, they're not that strong, but it's strong enough to where it's like if they didn't know they were walking into it, it would probably hurt and hopefully scare them off enough.
Scare the crap out of them. Yeah, get them to leave.
Back, but I'll tell you what, man. If raccoons and possums are motivated enough and hungry enough, they'll do just about anything to get to.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yep.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast about raccoons, and there's actually a difference between raccoons that live in like urban areas and suburban areas, and raccoons that live in rural areas. And the ones that live in suburban and urban areas have figured out how to get into dumpsters and trash cans. And the ones that are in rural areas have not figured out how to do that yet. So you can take like an urban trash can or an urban raccoon and put it in an area that's got a trash can, and they will figure out a way to get into it. Even the ones that have like safety latches on them and stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. They're ridiculously smart, and that's why, ideally, I keep saying like, okay, I'm going to keep catching these raccoons, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to relocate them to heaven, and then I can't bring myself to do it every time I trap one. So, like, possums, it's definitely not going to happen because like I said, I do like possums, and they already have a short enough lifespan as is. So it's like, whatever, I'll spare them. But raccoons, as much as I want to, I can't bring myself to actually do it. So,
yeah,
I'm too weak. Not strong enough.
Oh man.
Hell yeah. So what do you got on the agenda for breeding this year? What are you pairing up?
So for like the third year in a row, I'm gonna sit here and tell myself this is gonna be a light year.
Yep.
So I'm like, it's gonna be a light year, and then for me, like I have years
later.
clutches, and I'm like, what am I doing? But this year I am actually planning for it to be a light year. I've pretty much come to the conclusion that from now until like the day I die, I'm going to breed rhinos every year.
Yeah.
Rhinos without, if anyone's listened to the podcast, like I don't shut up about them. I think they're the coolest snakes that ever existed. I think they're like the best pet snake ever. And I want to produce 1 million of them and just toss them out like Oprah Winfrey to every person I possibly can.
You get a rhino and you get a rhino.
I'm not mad about that at all, actually.
So I've jokingly started the, what do I call it? The Smitty Rhino Missionary Foundation. You're like each clutch I give away a rhino to somebody.
Hey, you know what you gotta do is you gotta bring one to Daytona, and whoever shows up to the gazebo, one of those guys will get one.
I'll give one to freaking everybody, dude, if I could. Like freaking party favor at a birthday party or something, dude.
Whether you that would be a lot of rhinos.
Don't forget to take your snake bag on the way out.
Here's your deli cup. Here's your deli cup. Yeah. So rhinos are going to happen this year. I'm planning to have 2 females ready to go. I have the one female that's produced for me the last 2 years, and then I have another female that I got a couple months ago. She's up to size and she's of age, so she'll be good. I was planning to have a third, but that female is still a little smaller than I want her to be, and she needs another year, I think. So it'll be 2 in 2025, and I have the Vietnamese green bush rat snakes, the Gonyosoma persinum or corulum or whatever you want. I call them cosinum, just to save myself the. We'll just combine the 2 names since no one wants to decide which one is right.
I don't even bother. I'm just I call them persinum. So
cosinum, persinum is whatever. But those are supposed to be going. They should be ready this year.
Hell yeah!
And then maybe the Gonyosoma jansseni has been a big project for me for the last couple of years, and I've slowly gotten clutches from them on a regular basis, but they have yet to go the distance as far as incubation or be solid eggs from the beginning. So my plan was to not breed corns this year, not breed beards this year, and whatever time I would have spent doing that and dealing with babies, like put that energy and focus and time into the jansseni and hopefully make something happen. So that's kind of
no beards.
At first, I was like, I'll still do. I was like, I'll pair the Loma Altas, and then I was like, should I? And then I was like, no, I won't. And then I kind of said, yes, I will. And then I said, no, I won't. And I still haven't fully decided yet. So possibly, I know
you've been proselytizing those.
I'm gonna look at both of them when it comes time to when I'm pairing stuff up and be like, I'm just gonna put them together. Just why not? It's gonna be a small clutch. We'll be fine. So. But that's one of those weird ones too, where I had a lot of people message me about if I had beards available when I didn't have beards available. But when I did have beards available, it was crickets. And it was like, it's like, what is it? You guys just wait until I don't have any available. And then it's
people want what they can't have.
I guess that's it. Yeah,
exactly. Or there's like one good photo that circulates the internet, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I need one of those."
Exactly. I think it's one of those things though that's something that I have thought about recently, or lately within the last year or so, is like the idea of holding on to a whole clutch or a half a clutch with the intent of raising them up so that they're a little bigger, and so that when you get to that point to where people, that part of the carousel comes back around, like you have some established animals that are ready to go, and it's like, here you go, like not necessarily just trying to sell babies and stuff, but like have some slightly older animals, have some subadults or whatever. And then, because I feel like the majority of what you see is either adults that have probably already been bred a couple years in a row, or like fresh babies, and there's not really a whole lot of in between there
Yeah.
overall, at least with Baird's in particular for sure, but I feel like in general, you don't see a whole lot of that sort of middle stage of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my FOURTYs, that's basically kind of where I was at, where I was like, one, I didn't really feel like pushing sales, so I was like, I really don't want to get online and haggle with a bunch of people and BS back and forth about them. And then I was like, also, it's nice to have ones that are like this big and actually showing some of the color that they're gonna have as adults, because people, especially with the Okati stuff, it's like when they're first born, they're freaking brown, and it's so hard to tell. Like, I'm like, look at the pictures of the parents, they're gonna be really nice, they're gonna have good contrast, all this stuff, and people are like, well, no, $100, and I'm like, well, you know what, that's fine. And then now I've got them and they're just starting to show color, and if I post pictures of them, people are like, oh man, I really want one of those. I'm like, good, these ones are already like a year and a half old, come get them.
And that's been the downfall of Baird Eye, man, is like the babies when they hatch, they are nothing special. They are nothing to write home about. They all look the same. They're all gray and black. Like, that's one of those species where you absolutely have to bring an adult with you to a show if you're selling them, so that you can show people like this is what it will look like. It's going to be ugly for the first year and a half, whatever, 2 years before that color fully comes in and sort of sets up shop and stuff. But it's like, this is what they will look like, and unfortunately with a lot of people at shows, it seems like there's a handful of species where that's the case. And I feel like even with rhinos, when you see baby rhinos, they're that sort of weird grayish brown.
Yeah.
They're still cool looking, like with the pattern and stuff, but you have to bring an adult and be like, this is what they morph into. And it is actually really cool to see them go through that change. So
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel with the Jani, North Mexican pines. Everyone's like, brown worm. And I'm like, no, look at this.
Give it some time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Color changes are
pythons.
cool, guys.
Dude, blood pythons too. It's like when they're born, they're just brown, and it's like, no, trust me, the parents are bright red and yellow. Like, this thing's gonna be really nice. They're like, well, I want one that's already red, and I'm like, then you gotta get a 2-year-old. Then, like, it's not gonna show color for 2 years. But look, if you buy when it's already showing red, it's gonna be 3 times the price. So why not just get one here?
Yep.
Hey, look, people,
and
I
then
didn't
put a
come out
little
of the
time
womb
into
looking
it.
like Brad Pitt. I'm on my way there. Okay, it takes time.
Yeah.
Like anything else, the abs will show up at some point. Like,
at
the
some
six-pack
point
is on its way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. Did you guys see Nick Bettini just posted a really good update photo on like an albino, T-positive albino golden eye or something. It's like as a baby, it was just you could tell like, okay, that's gonna be a nice one. But if you don't know blood pythons, you're just like, meh. And a year later, you're just like, holy shit, there's no way that's the same snake. Like,
I'm not even big into the bloods and short tails and stuff, but the stuff Nick posts, I'm like, I could get into that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true, man.
I could look at that every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they only poop once every couple months. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's like they say that and then they pee every week. So
yeah, right. And that one poop, it makes up for all the days of not poop.
You're paying for it regardless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whether you pay at the beginning or at the end, you got to pay for it either way.
You can do it in small installments or one lump sum. It's up to you.
It's blood pythons are the lump sum.
It's so true.
Pray to God that you're home when it happens and not in.
No, I don't want to be home when it happens because it's loud. You ever be sitting there watching TV and then all of a sudden you just hear I'm like, oh,
catching the fire before it engulfs the whole house.
Bro. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Oh man. Rob doesn't like farts, so it's
I'm one of those people that does not think that farts are funny. So like I hear it, I'm like, oh, a little part of me just died right now listening to this.
Oh man.
Hurts my soul.
It's okay,
just keep
Rob.
chondros, and then you still get that effect of them not going for weeks at a time without any of that.
No, thank you. I got the better tree snake, the scrubs.
I can't really even have an opinion on scrubs. I had that Tannenbar for
Tannenbars
for
the
a
worst
time,
scrubs.
and I remember reading about them, and everyone was like, "Yeah, they're like the chillest of all the scrubs, and like they're the smallest, and they're the best." And then I got it, and I'm like,
they're the opposite.
What are they talking about? I was like, this thing's terrible.
I've never met a chill Tannenbar.
He wasn't, so it was a male, and he wasn't super bitey or anything like that, but it was like, as soon as you touched him, man, it was like, I'm going to piss on everything. I'm going to thrash around. I'm going to take off. I'm going to wrap around something in the room and own it. Like, I'm going to do everything.
Pull it over,
not cooperate. And they're cool snakes, and I appreciate scrubs for what they are. And Jake had a couple years ago that were still very young, and they were fun and all, but I don't know, man. That's just, maybe it's because of the chondros, where it's like I can just take it out and it can sit there and it won't move, and I could literally go to work and come back and that snake has not moved a freaking centimeter, and I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. They're boring as hell.
Scrub.
Yeah. Leave a scrub out, go to work, come back, and it's just total debauchery, and
everything in my room will be on the ground. Like,
someone's gonna think they broke in and you got robbed or something.
Literally. Bro, the other day I was just running from my room here where I've got like my raise up scrubs to the bathroom and back. And I was like, oh man, I'm just sweating the whole time because I just left it in the enclosure. I was like, oh man, when I come back there, it's going to be hanging off the ceiling fan. I know it.
Oh man.
They are very interesting. Like, I do like scrubs. I don't ever plan on keeping any, but like for what they are in terms of like seeing Jake's and sort of the, the intelligence of them and sort of just how on point they are and aware.
Yes.
It was definitely something different. So, and I will agree with Keller that tree vipers are the superior tree snakes, but specifically we're talking about Atheris.
Tropidolaemus, damn it.
No. No. Not the blockhead tree snakes.
Yes. Yes. I love those stupid heads. They're so big and boofy.
The Subinulatus look like freaking Transformers, dude. They look like a Decepticon.
Legit. Yeah.
That's all I see. It's freaking Megatron.
That's freaking cool.
That's amazing.
Right? I'll meet you in the middle ones with McGregor. How about that? Okay. The white ones.
Okay.
Yeah. The white ones, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those white McGregor man, that's a good looking snake.
Yeah. Okay, we can all agree on that.
My major group. If you look at them too long.
Listen, man, that's if you look at them too long without giving them water. Damn it. Protobothrops are cool, but like my major gripe with Atheris is the Hispida. Those are my big gripe with that whole genus.
I don't get the hype on those.
They're the least interesting of all the Atheris, man.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly.
And they're like this big. People are like, "Oh, but the scales." I'm like, "It is this big."
Have you seen a Desai? Like, have you seen Nishii? Have you seen any of the other,
any of the other ones?
Literally anything else.
Like, just take a peek down that rabbit hole and let me know if you still think that Hispida, and I don't even think Hirsuta is a thing anymore, is it? But
I don't know.
I don't think they are. I think that got knocked, or that species. I don't think they're either that or they went extinct or something, and it's based off like a type specimen, but
a holotype or something. Yeah. Boo. Schlegs are good. But...
Keller's rubbing Schlegs in my face because I had the opportunity to get some from him recently and couldn't.
Oh. Wait, I thought you were getting some Atheris. I thought that you were getting the boat.
No. Couldn't do it, man. I couldn't. I was tempting, but then the more I see friends with boats, the more I realize I don't want one, and it's just not worth it.
Listen, man, if the only thing standing between me and venomous snakes is a boat, I'm getting the boat.
Oof. We'll get your rubber raft, Rob. We'll get your rubber raft.
The boat's not standing there for me.
And that was not enough. John boat was not.
Okay.
I was like, what about a pair of kayaks? And she said no. Like negotiations went on for weeks. And then they eventually just broke down and that was it. Like
I think the kayaks are a good compromise, honestly, because they're so much easier to move around and you could still see lots of really cool stuff on kayaks.
Problem with that is I'm fat and I'm out of shape, man. And in the summers kayaking here with the tidal currents and stuff, like my ass would get dragged out into the Atlantic real quick. And then I'd be stuck out there and you'd see me on the news missing. And they never
You just got to get up underneath the drones,
all
man.
of that worth it because they'll be like, he was lost out to sea, got some kayaks. His wife was supposed to let him get some atheris, and then he just disappeared, and he never got his atheris.
It never happened. That's why you got to get them first, and then the kayaks afterwards.
Oh, that wouldn't happen. she wouldn't allow that to happen.
That's funny.
You could always go for the baby instead.
Rear fang. I did have Boiga for a while. I had Boiga for a couple years.
And then the whole law stuff with South Carolina, right?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, this is probably going to happen. Let me go ahead and get ahead of it and part with my group of Cyanea, because at the time it looked like it was very much going to happen. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and just get this out of the way.
Rip the Band-Aid
and
off.
Then they never even came back to it. Like that whole bill, they're like, we're going to come back to this, and then they never did. And I'm like, great. Now Terry Burwell has all my Cyanea. Damn it. And then he went and bred them and produced more of them, and which is great. I traded him for some rhinos, so it's all good. But
hey, you know what?
It evens out.
It does. Yeah. It does. I'd like to.
Now you just need some barons, right?
To get them again, but for the time being, it's just stick with the rhinos.
That's fair.
Not mad by that.
That's the one species, man. When I say, like, if someone said tomorrow I can only keep one species and I have to get rid of everything else, like I'd say rhinos in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Like, I'll have a whole room of them. They can all look the same. I don't care. They're just. I love that species so damn much, dude.
They are really cool.
They're so much.
Have you seen Rob's room of them?
Mm-mm.
Bro. They're cool as hell.
They're so awesome, man. They're like the complete package. Like, most of mine are super mellow. They're always eating. They're always content. They're always out. Like, they're curious.
I think once you get them started, that's like the biggest thing, is just getting them on something, and then once they're on something, they're good.
Yeah, but even that, I found it's not nearly as daunting as people make it seem.
Yeah.
Because this is the second year in a row that I've produced them, and this year's proving to be the same, where it's like about the 6-month mark, they just start taking pinkies on their own. You just got to wait them out for 6 months. And, give or take. But I'm breeding my own feeder fish, or I'm going to be soon. I'm saying I got a tank set up in here and stuff. I just got to get the fish for it. But I got some rosies from PetSmart, and I had one of the babies from last year's clutch got some subdermal worms, which the only thing they would have come from would have been those rosies.
Yep.
So right. Hey, I'd been toying around with the idea for a while anyways. I was like, well, now it's time to make that happen. So start doing that.
There you go.
But they do seem to just switch on their own, though. I've noticed, like, it's really not.
That's
interesting.
Not
having to trick them. You're not having to assist feed them or anything like that. It's like just offer them fish and then periodically offer them pinkies. And I found that again, that 6-month mark, give or take, like they'll just start taking them, like almost like they've been eating them the entire time. Like there's really not a whole lot of selling that has to happen to make them switch over. I just noticed that they kind of just do. So I don't really fight the feeder fish thing. Feeder fish are cheap, especially if you start breeding your own. It's really not that bad, because the first year I bred them, I was like, oh my God, it was like chondros. Like, I got to get them on pinkies as soon as possible. Like, they're going to die.
Right. Yeah.
So you give them some fish, they go ham, keep them fish, and then just offer pinkies periodically, and they'll take them in their own time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was raising some, basically what I did was I was doing them on fish, and then I would just lower the water level in the dish that I'm using the fish in, and then I would just throw a pinky in there with the fish, and eventually they're just like mouth open, going around trying to grab whatever. They land on the pinky, they start eating the pinky. Do that a couple times, and then they'll take a pinky, no problem.
Yeah, I tried floating with some fish and stuff, and I'd have a couple that would take, but most of them would just completely bypass the pinky and just eat the fish, and then leave the pinky there
Really?
to disintegrate. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I had mixed results with that, but Dustin Black is saying coming soon, Palmetto Coast Fish, because this 10-gallon tank that I'm setting up for freaking guppies, I'm like going all in on and getting like live plants for, and I have like sand in there and mopani wood and like all kinds of stuff. Like it's not just
Hell yeah.
gravel, fake plants. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this and I gotta look at it all the time, I at least
I
want
was just gonna say, make it something you want to look at.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been talking to Jack Oliver a lot because he's got fish and stuff, and he's the one that's supposed to be hooking me up with some feeder guppies and stuff. You know, I'm like, what do I need to do to make the plants? Like, I don't know anything about fish aside from that they live in the water. Like that's the extent. So,
I mean, that is probably the most important part of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
From what I've observed, but I'm like, dude, be prepared for some really dumb questions because I got a lot of them, and he's been extremely patient with me. But I'm not going. It's not a rabbit hole I'm going down. I'm not getting sucked into fish. I can't do it,
dude. I don't know.
I did dart frogs. And that was the closest thing. I'll do dart frogs again eventually, but like fish, that's a whole other ball game that I'm just not. I refuse.
Check out Polepterus. You should check them out. They're pretty fucking tight.
You know what the weirdest thing is like if I was gonna do a giant tank, like freshwater tank, I'd probably just get a huge thing and just do a giant group of like zebra danios.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think the zebra
Yeah,
danios are cool. I don't know why.
those are
I
cool
just
fish. Yeah.
I like them. I tried those with the rhinos too at one point with that first clutch that first year I did it, and they're too fast.
Yeah.
It was a terrible choice because they moved entirely too quick. I was like, I'm an idiot. I was like, I'll bypass this whole like feeder fish parasite thing and just get some zebra danios or something a little more expensive that likely didn't come from some giant pond somewhere in China, and I'll bypass all of that and give them something fancy. And it was like $15 worth of zebra danios wasted.
Yep.
It just didn't work out. So
It's okay. It's okay. So to back up, you said you would keep dart frogs again. What's a go-to species for you?
Ooh, pretty much any of the Ranatomea.
Oh heck yeah.
Any of the thumbnails, man. Like I kept Vanzolini, I kept Variabilis Southern.
Mm-hmm.
I kept some Imitator Veradero. I think there was one or two others that I'm just drawing blanks on at the moment, but I had those. I had Leucomelis. I had Phyllobates. I had Vitatus in those. I tried some imported blue jeans, and that ended about as well as you can expect it to. That just
yeah,
those were tough. But as far as like what I kept and stuff, those Ranatomea were the coolest. I enjoyed those just because I liked that they didn't take up so much space. You know, I liked the fact that they stayed small, and the Vanzolini in particular were awesome because I had a pair of them, and like watching the maternal care on those things. Period. Doesn't matter what
cool.
it is amazing, man. It's,
yeah.
With the thumbnails in particular, just what blows my mind is the fact that something that small can be that complex behaviorally. You know, is just like, it makes no sense because you would think something that little, like their brain is just a ganglia of nerves. It's not even, there's no way it's like a dedicated unit of a brain, but
right.
You know, watching them take care of the tadpoles and watching them return to the bromeliad throughout the day and check on things and everything. It was wild to see. And the Vitatus were nice because those were, when I got my first couple of rhinos from Terry Burwell, I had a ton of Vitatus tadpoles, And I offered those up, seeing like maybe they'll take them. And sure enough, man, just like the fish, like they snatch those tadpoles up and
gobble them up. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So if I was doing it on a larger scale, I likely would get another tank of Atatis or maybe some Santa Isabels or something. Something that just produces like in ridiculously exponential numbers, and go that route. But yeah, the Ranitame I miss the most, and I really liked having the multiple tanks throughout the house and stuff, because when the house was quiet, you could just hear all the different calls and stuff going on, and it was really nice. It was really pleasant.
Absolutely. The live recording of sounds from the rainforest.
Yeah. Oddly enough, too, the thing about dart frogs was like, I've never been a big plant guy, never really had a whole lot of interest in those, but like in building the tanks and planning them and stuff, like that turns out to be just as much of an enjoyable part of those as the frogs themselves. Like you learn that the frogs are the accent when it comes to that stuff, and the tanks are sort of the centerpiece.
Right.
So I got into that, real quick. I got interested in the different plants and things like that, and really like the sort of the landscaping aspect of it and the backgrounds, and like the whole process of making those vary and making them look good was really sort of addictive. It was, I miss it. I got out of darts just because it was to the point to where it's like those were taking up almost an entire wall in my snake room, and I had some other projects and stuff, and so it was like I need that space, and so I ended up parting with those and to focus on some other stuff, and I regret it. One day I will, when space isn't so tight. I do want to get back into Ranitame specifically and get back to those.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, when I kept dart frogs when I was a kid, like that was probably my favorite part, was like figuring out the scaping of everything, and like learning more about the plants and how you can just to make that slice of the jungle every time. It's incredibly addicting for sure.
I didn't think I'd like it that much, but I actually I like the second tank. I was like, this is awesome.
Yep.
What do I want to do differently with the third and fourth tank now? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I want to try another variation of this plant or whatever. When you start realizing like how many different subspecies are within one plant here, and you go down that whole variation, you're just like, oh, I like this nerve plant. This tank's got a red one. I'm going to put a white one over here and then a pink one over here and do all the yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, and I really liked having the bromeliads and making those work, because for some reason I had read or heard that like having a planted bromeliad would be really tough, but I had a couple, and I mean I'm sure it's because it was one of the really hardy varieties of them, but I never had an issue with bromeliads growing in tanks, whether they were planted or whether they were raised. Every plant that I used was just doing phenomenally in those tanks.
Hell yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Tropical plants are another rabbit hole. Absolutely.
Yeah, says the Pamphilius nerd.
Yeah, I was giving him shit about that earlier, because I was like, dude, if you like brown tarantulas, there's 6,000 species of brown tarantulas. Just say that, like.
Right. Just because you put purple in the name doesn't make them pretty. Like,
yeah. And the adult females, the ones you actually get to spend time with, are brown. They're not even interesting looking.
Yeah, I laughed. He sent me the screenshot of the message he had with you, where he didn't realize you had a Bacillotheria tattoo too, and he's like, "Damn it, I picked the wrong one." I was like, "Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you don't know. You're not a part of the team. Picked the wrong guy."
That's hilarious.
Listen, man. Listen.
Brown guy loves brown tarantulas. Sue me.
Listen, man. I like the black and white tarantulas. Okay, I'm half and half. It's required. It's mandatory.
I don't care what it is, as long as it's Bacillotheria.
Yeah, I like anything that's got contrast, and all those brown tarantulas don't have contrast. They're like, don't get me wrong, Pamphobetus and Xenethus, when they're little, really pretty, and then the second that they get a little bit of size on them, they're like, oh, let's get rid of all that interesting pattern and color and just paint you brown.
Everything you loved about me, I'm gonna get rid of.
Exactly. And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, don't worry. The males get to be bright neon color. Oh yeah, they die 6 months later though. So enjoy it while it lasts."
Glad you like your expensive purple spider.
Yep. I hope you like to do mounts of dead bugs because that's what it's gonna end up being.
Say you're shallow with that.
Listen, I don't just like the way that Poecilotheria look. They're also very interesting spiders because the terrestrial stuff is boring as hell. All the arboreal stuff has got personality and pizzazz, and also will really hurt you if you mess up.
Yeah, we can all agree that at least none of it's cobalt blues. Okay.
Yes, everybody can
True.
agree.
Yeah.
Which
I'm not even a spider guy, and I can agree.
don't get me wrong, I love a cobalt blue, but damn it, was that the most boring spider I've ever had in my life?
Yeah. My skeleton leg is not far behind that, which is such a bummer because it's such a cool looking spider. But I see her like once every. If I don't like shine the light down her hole and check on her,
It's a Myrna?
you can yeah
Oh,
she doesn't
okay.
come out very often. I keep her really well fed, so she just doesn't come out of her tube.
I don't know. I've heard those have been on my list. I've heard that those were actually really enjoyable, but I guess if they're a pet hole too, then
They are. I mean, I kind of set mine up to be a pet hole in particular. Like I gave her a cork tube that goes down into the bottom of the tub. And so she does, and I have leaf litter all along the top, so she doesn't really have a reason to come out unless she's hungry. And I feed her probably more than I need to, so she doesn't come out that often. But if I were to feed her more like sparingly, I'm sure that I would see the legs all the time. But she just is not always feeling it.
have you watched those Andrew Smith documentaries?
No.
Oh my god, dude, he has one on Iphobopus, and he goes and finds Marinus specifically and some other stuff, and it's
Ooh.
it's really cool.
I'll have to check that out because I'm pretty sure I got the Poecilotheria one, and then they had a Brachypelma one.
Yep.
And I got one of them shipped to me, and then the other one they were like, "You never ordered it," and I was like, "I did order it. I'll wait till the next round, I guess." So I'll have to see which one I got, and then when I do the other order for the other one, I'll have to see if I can
Yeah,
get
I still have to
Ethiopian
watch
one.
the Lasiodora one, but I went and bought them all digitally and freaking binged them, man. And that guy does such a good job with those. It's unbelievable. I wish someone did something with a similar amount of work like with herp related species.
Yes.
Because the deep dives he goes into just with the people involved in terms of like who discovered the species and the detail and the amount of digging he had to do to find some of that information is just mind blowing. Like I can only imagine the amount of time it takes him to do those things because it was just unbelievable that he was managed to hunt down these people and the names and like their jobs and like their lives as far as like they got married to Mary what's her face and had 3 kids and then he lived in he was in India for 10 years and then moved back to Oxford and died at the age of 27 because it's the 1800s and no one lived past 30 and
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable the amount of effort and work he put into it, man. It's like I wish someone would do something like that with herbs because it will give you such a better appreciation for different species. When you see the people and just the lives that you had to live back then, like how hard it was to survive, especially in underdeveloped countries, like underdeveloped for the 1800s, which I feel like at that point was pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. The stuff that these guys accomplished before they even hit the age of 25 it's wild.
Yeah. True. What's Dougie said that he was convinced to get a Irmenia for his first tarantula. Why would you do that? That is a bad idea.
That might have been me and Nisirk's fault.
Listen, man, that's a bad idea. I love Irmenia, but
he was like, "Well, should I do it?" And we were like, "Yeah, here's what you can expect. It's just as long as you're prepared for this little freaking tree gremlin, and you'll be fine. Don't feed it after midnight. Get it wet."
Yeah, exactly. I got an Irmenia that's like this big, and it's just about to molt right now, and I'm like, just molt already. I want to move you to the next size up.
Yeah, my Metallica just molted again, and it's the blues coming in.
Yeah, dude,
like
mine
really
is
coming in.
like this right now, so it's just starting to get blue.
I think mine's a male though. I suspect.
Oh,
I tried to look at the
no.
molt when it molted over the weekend, or not over the weekend. I've been out of work for like a week because of Christmas and stuff. This week, and it fell apart. I couldn't pull it apart,
damn.
which is really frustrating. But
Yeah, and Metallicas are like the worst ones to do ventrally. I have looked at so many of those trying to get any sort of rhyme or reason on those, and on most pokies, I'm pretty good. I could do a ventral sex on them. Metallica, no, just no. There's no rhyme or reason. It's all just random.
well, I don't care if it's a male or female. I just enjoy them. You know,
Yeah,
they're still cool.
fair.
That's fair.
That's fair. Honestly, I want more Subfusca, but
oh man, I miss those so much, dude. So I was into tarantulas like, what year is it? It's 2025. Like mid 2000s, 20, Jesus,
Arachnoboards days.
20-ish years ago. Holy shit. No, it had to be closer to like 08-ish, 09, like high school.
Yep.
And like all that stuff was super easy to come by. Like,
oh yeah,
if I wanted Ornata, I could buy Ornata. If I wanted Subfusca, I could buy Subfusca. And then I get back into tarantulas and got like heavier in them. I picked some up at Daytona, and that just like relit everything. And it's like, oh, all those awesome species of Bacillotharia you liked. Yeah, good luck.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know, ESA'd a lot of stuff, and to me it's
like, don't worry, we're protecting the species
it's just
by
so
making sure you
goofy,
can't
man.
make any more of them.
It's so stupid. I understand why they felt the need to do it, but it's like you guys are also like 30 years too late.
Yeah. Also, people are not bringing them into the U.S. anymore. Like, we're working with captive bred, third, fourth, sixth generation captive bred spiders right now. What are you really doing?
Yeah. It just, so that was a bummer because I had Subfusca at one point and freaking loved them.
They're the best.
I had Vitata before they were Vitata and loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ornata were my favorite and still are probably my favorite of all the Bacillotharia.
Yep.
And now, like, if I want to get them, I have to find someone in my state that breeds them, which we had a guy up in Charleston, but he got out. I think he ended up getting divorced or something, and so he just got out of the hobby altogether, which sucks because he was like the guy that I could have gotten all that stuff from. But
yeah,
such is life. So.
True.
Yep.
I got a guy. There's a couple of people locally who've produced Ornata recently, and Trace Harden is actually one of them. And
Really?
yeah, and he I think he still has a lot of babies left. I would have to check in with him. Keller, Rufalatus are great, but
I
they
knew
do
he
not
was
beat
gonna
Subfusca.
pop in and say Rufalata. I saw it coming.
Dude, they're cool.
That's one of the species I haven't kept, so I can't
Yeah.
really have an opinion. They do look cool. I like them.
They're cool and they're big, bro. Their legs are freaking huge and they are really pretty color. But Subfusca are still better. I don't know. The black, the contrast, the purple on the Subfusca can't be beat.
Yeah.
At least
Lowland or Highland, I like them all.
Yeah. Yep. I like both of them.
Turgid is tied from the spider.
I'm here for it, man. I'm not a spider person, but I think they're cool.
Could be.
I could be. I could be, but then I'd also be single. So
join our cult.
Do you still have those scorpions that you collected?
The Carolina Barks?
Yeah.
No, I need to get a new group of them. They had
Next
a couple
summer.
broods. Yeah, they had a couple broods. Turns out if you leave broods in with a group, they will get picked off, not by mom, but by their roommates.
Stuff, yeah.
So, lesson learned there. And then not knowing how old those adults were when I got them, I don't know. They just slowly tapered off, and
yeah.
So just got to get a new group of them. But those are really cool, man. Those are fun.
Hell yeah. I didn't do a whole ton with scorpions, but I did enjoy the few that I kept. Did you ever venture into centipedes though?
Hell no. Centipedes, so I had one once. I got it in a group of stuff from a guy off Craigslist on Hilton Head.
Oh no.
And, well, there was like a cobalt blue in the mix and some other cool stuff, and he was like, "But you got to take all of them." I was like, "Okay." It's like, I've never had one before, but let's see it. And fuck that thing, dude. Those things give me the willies, man. Like, I am not a centipede guy. I will never be a centipede guy. I can admire them for what they are. The ones that have a lot of blues and stuff in them, I think they're rad. The giant black ones are really cool, but I will not keep or handle them. It's not happening.
I can see keeping them, but handling them,
dude. When I see videos of it, man, it makes my butthole pucker up a little bit. I just can't.
Yep.
It makes me so uncomfortable. I'm like, no.
My thing is like, if a snake starts to like look at you like it's gonna bite you, you just like drop it, or like even like a lizard, you're like, okay, I can like grab it.
Yeah.
If a centipede is on you and then it's like looking like it's gonna bite you, what do you do? Like, you go like this and it's still
I don't think it has
like,
it's not gonna like it's about to bite me. I think it just bites you. I don't think you get. It's sort of like tarantulas in the same way. Like, yeah, you can tell when a tarantula's pissed off, but like if you're just handling it and it just decides that it wants to see what's going on, you don't know if that's gonna happen or not. It's like that's why I don't really handle my tarantulas either. I got a Alba pelosum curly hair. I was doing some kids event a couple months ago, and I was like, I'll get this curly hair at PetSmart. That's a perfect species to handle and show kids and stuff. That thing is a fucking demon. That thing is like I would pull out my damn Poecilotheria striata and handle that before I handled this freaking curly hair dude. Like, that curly hair is an absolute monster. And I'm like, man, I'm really glad I checked and made sure this thing was like kosher before I freaking took it and let kids play with it. Because mother of God, like, it would have been hanging on to some kid, because that thing was, she's gnarly. No. I love her to death, but that thing, that's a if it moves, she's going for it. Doesn't matter if she can eat it or not. She's gonna find out.
God.
Dude.
Oh God, brutal. No, I'll take another retic bite to the face over dealing with that. Hell no.
And it's not even like the effects of getting bit from those necessarily. It's just like an adult tarantula, really, of any size. It's like the bite itself is gonna suck. Like, the
mechanical damage is gonna
suck probably worse than the actual bite would, but it's like, I don't want to experience that any more than I want to experience like getting bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want any of it. So whatever.
Yeah. I used to handle a lot of things just like to, I learned the animals and I'm like, I'm going to hold things. And then now I'm like, you know what? I don't need to hold everything. I really don't. I'm cool with just like letting it do its thing over there.
Yeah, and there's just some, like the Jansenii in particular, man, like those, it's like they don't enjoy being messed with. When I see people on Instagram and stuff handling their wild-caught oxys and wild-caught Jansenii, and it's like they're very clearly stressed and not enjoying it. It's like, that's a really good way to put in the fast lane to rolling on you and not surviving past 3 months in captivity, So it's like, my Jansenii, the only time I really pull them out is if I'm doing a deeper clean on their enclosure, which happens, maybe once or twice a year. And they very clearly don't like any interaction, period. Unless there's food involved, they want nothing to do with me. And it's like, I'm okay with that. Like, it sucks. I wish I could pull you out and play with you like I do some of the corn snakes and stuff, but that's not the species for it, man. There's some of them that's like, they just do better when you just leave them alone and ignore them. It's unfortunate, but it's the nature of that beast. Yeah. And same thing with tarantulas and scorpions,
Yep.
And centipedes.
And no.
Dude, I would like to get some Scolopendra heroes, the ones from Arizona. I think Keller was talking about the ones with like the really red bodies and the black caps on the front and back. I think those are cool looking, and they get pretty decent size. But also, I've seen centipedes chew through deli cups before, and like I very much worry about whatever enclosure I would put one in, that it would find a way out.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Nope.
Pass.
I'm not going to sleep after this. Just so you know.
Jeremy, have you found any of the viridis, the like green or blue centipedes that there are down here?
No, but admittedly, I'm not searching for them either. So,
bro,
I see them here and there, and they are very cool. Like,
really,
quick story for that. I don't go looking for them either, but I
Mhm.
live in the woods, like in the woods, and maybe like the beginning of last summer, I'm sitting in my living room eating some pizza at my living room table, and I see something move on the couch that's like 3 or 4 inches long, and I was like, "What?" I know. I don't have any snakes out right now, and I look over and it's one of those blue centipedes, and it's like trucking along the edge of the couch,
shit.
and I'm like, "What the hell is going on right now?" So I go grab like a little tarantula vial, and I like scoop it up, and I'm like, "Where the hell did you come from? Like this is inside. You do not
Oof.
belong in here."
I've flipped a couple of those, and they're pretty. Like I
Yes.
appreciate them for what they are, but
Yes.
it's not something I'm gonna like catch and be like, oh, I gotta check this out and investigate further. It's like, oh, cool, a blue centipede. See ya. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably about as deep as I would get into it too.
Always a
Like,
pleasure.
oh, cool. Yeah.
There's a cooler species of centipedes down here that I find when I'm looking for salamanders. It's like underneath logs and stuff, and it's super, super, super long, and its body's all like curly and stuff. And they go from like red to orange. And there's a species of ground centipede, but they're like this long, and they're like 1/8 the size of the width of a pencil.
That's the
So they're
tantilla food,
really, really
son.
small. The what?
That's the tantilla food.
Yes, that's exactly
When
what
I
it
see
is.
those, that's when I get excited. I'm like, I'll bet you there's tantilla nearby. Like,
that's where I'd
yeah.
be finding them underneath logs and stuff, right where the DKs should be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
I want to try keeping terraria eventually.
Yeah.
I think David Kelly had a small group of them in like a small exoterra with like, he kept them naturally with like some branches and stuff. And he's like, they were out all the time from the pictures he posted. Like they were hanging out in the branches and stuff. Like they were surprisingly cool captives and display snakes. So maybe I'll give those a shot. Last one I tried to keep was when I was like 6, and I left it in the windowsill of my room and made it jerky.
Oof. Oof.
You gotta get a really steady supply of worms and salamanders. If you got that, then you can probably do them pretty well.
Either those or like a ring neck. If I could find a decent sized ring neck, that'd be
Dude,
fun.
when I was younger, I had like a big wash basin that when I would go catch snakes in my yard, I would put them in there, and I would like put dirt in there and rocks and all this cover. And there was one time I was like, I wonder if I could get them to eat something, and I just threw like 4 or 5 earthworms in there, and then came back like 15 minutes later, and they were gobbling down those earthworms. I just like covered it with a towel so it was dark in there, and they went to town eating those earthworms. So I bet you that, and I had that albino ringneck for a little while, and that thing ate earthworms and salamanders no problem, like easy. But it was just like having a steady supply of them.
Yeah, I don't find it as many salamanders as I used to. Like I used to see slimies on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Over the last probably close to a decade now. Like I can't remember the last time I saw one, man. Like it's kind of depressing. Like like the slimies suck because if you pick them up, dude, like it's like dipping your
That's
hand
a
in
wrap.
super glue. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I only had to learn that lesson once. But like I'd love to find marbleds. Marbleds are probably my favorite species out of all of them, at least what we have native. And like I don't think I've ever found one of those. Even though we're supposed to have them, like I don't. It's a bummer overall when you don't see stuff as much as you used to. Period. Like even the yellow rats and racers that I used to see on a pretty regular basis, I just don't see as much as I used to, and it's sad. Like 6-line race runners.
Yep.
Used to see a ton of those on my parents' property, like all over the place. Middle of summer, like damn near 100 degrees. Those things were loving life and all over the place. And now, like, I think I've seen one in the last like 5 years, maybe. It's just
damn.
Yeah, man. It's weird because it sucks because like when you're seeing one domino fall, that's not
more things to come.
It's if you're losing one, you're losing a lot more than that, you know. And it's
Yep.
It's a bummer.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to see lots and lots of marbled salamanders, I've got spots for tons of marbleds, spotteds, and queen snakes. Jake was on the hunt for queen snakes last year. There's a couple spots I go to. They've got lots of queen snakes. So if you guys are ever wanting to come up to North Carolina, I'm just saying.
Yeah, queen snakes are one that I've never seen. Scarlet king snakes, that's one that I'm always on the lookout for, and I'm convinced at this point that they just don't exist, because everyone's like, check the bark on pine stumps and pine logs, and like I've ripped I don't know how many yards of bark off pine trees and never seen a scarlet. And then there's a bunch of really pissed off ants and termites because I just destroyed
Yep.
And Jake doesn't give me as much of a hard time, but like Gabe Schuler, he's like, man, you got to put the bark back. And so anytime we go herping with Gabe, I'm like, I'm gonna strip every damn pine tree if it's the last thing I do. And I said, Gabe, I'm not putting any of it back. And some of it, I mean, you can't put it back. Like it's a vertical. If it's a pine stump that's 6 feet tall and vertical, like I can't gently like put it back and hang it. Like I'm just like, Gabe, I've now created new ground cover, buddy. That's just it. I'm sorry. Like
there you go. That's what you need. You need a little mini vial of wood glue. Just put a dab of it on there and stick it back.
Just a nail gun. Just walk around with a nail gun.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Dragging an air compressor with you to
That's too
rocks and logs. Like obviously, I flip those back, but I'm like, the bark once it's gone, it's gone. And then I'm like, you know what? A hurricane was just going to come and take this off anyways. I'm just expediting the process.
Exactly.
Like a hurricane or a tornado. Like this bark was doomed from the begining. Like I'm just expediting.
It knew what was coming.
It is what it is. Maybe if I actually found a Scarlet King every once in a while, I wouldn't have to do this. But
yeah.
You've done it to yourself.
Yeah.
You did this.
You're like, Gabe, if you were providing some Scarlet Kings, we wouldn't have to be peeling all this bark, man. I'm just saying.
Then maybe it's like, maybe I'm not finding Scarlet King snakes because I'm peeling all the bark off all the pine trees.
Dun dun dun.
So it's like, am I my own worst enemy and causing my own failures?
Hashtag high thoughts.
There you go. Think about that when you're in the shower later.
Shower thoughts.
Maybe you're the one causing your own turmoil in the herping arena.
In the herping thing, where you're not finding the species that you want to find.
Damn.
I find that I get too hyper focused on like one species when I'm out looking around.
Yep.
Like my brain is like corals. You know, we'll be herping, or like when we're in like Eastern Diamondback country, like prime territory, like I am so hyper focused on looking for Eastern Diamondbacks that it's like I'm not even really paying attention or looking for much else.
Yeah.
My brain is like, it's like Where's Waldo? Like you're not looking at anything else going on in the Where's Waldo pages. You're just looking for Waldo. So you're completely oblivious to like the guy in the top corner getting stabbed with a cane or something, like whatever
an umbrella, like
you know. So like that's my problem when we go out herping, is like I get hyper focused on like one thing that I really want to see, and instead of sort of saying like, let's just see what we can find, period, I'm like, there's some awesome gopher tortoise burrows. I'm looking for the Eastern Diamondback that's hanging out outside of it.
Yes. They're like, but the gopher tortoise though.
Oh, dude, if I see a gopher tortoise, I'm gonna lose it. Like I love those things so much.
Yeah.
I love those. I did not have an appreciation for those until we went down to Harry Claiborne's place. He's in Tallahassee at Collectible National, and those things are everywhere. And seeing those things in the wild, like I immediately fell in love with that damn species. And
they're so freaking cool, man.
To go see them, man.
Yeah,
they're so cool.
Yeah, that spot that we've been hitting to go herping by Daytona has got several gopher tortoise like burrows leading up to the area and then also throughout the area. And so I was like, every time I pull over, like not at every single one, but every time that I go out there, I pull over and at least check out one tortoise that's hanging out.
Well, when I remember when people talked about them before I saw them for the first time in the wild. Like people talked about how endangered they are in a lot of places and how like hard they're struggling. And then I get to Appalachicola National and they're freaking everywhere. I'm like, you guys make it sound like these
You're
things.
Like, what are you talking about?
Seeing a freaking Bengal tiger in the wild, I was like, these little bastards are everywhere, dude. There's more squirrels in this motherfucker. Like, but I
It's
love
true,
it
though.
it's awesome to see that there's so many of them and that they're doing so well in some places. It's and then to find out that there's the whole like development thing and that they're just paving over these things.
Yeah, Walmart's just paving over them and paying the fine. Like, damn,
dude.
man.
Like, how can you? Maybe it's because I'm not a sick sadistic bastard, but like, how can anyone look at those and be like, yeah, I don't care about it, let's kill it?
For real.
Like, it's a freaking
the people who like hit him with their car. I'm like, what is wrong with you, bro?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that how anybody would do that to any animal. But like the tortoise,
right.
Like, come on.
Yes,
come on.
Everybody's got a price, man. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
When we were out herping last year, though, we were more sort of inland, and we saw a baby gopher. I say a baby, that thing was probably like 3 years old, but it was like the size of a golf ball. And it was, dude, it was so cool. We were losing it, man, because it was just cruising. It was just doing its thing in the brush. Like,
that's so freaking cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know what it is, but like the South Carolina ones in particular, I love a little more than the Florida ones. But
that's fair. That's fair.
Being a proud South Carolinian, it's like I feel like it's a bit of a bigger deal here because they are not nearly as common as they are in Florida, depending on where you are. Like, it's a much more spotty sort of like, you have to go to certain spots where they're really prevalent if you want to see them. It's not like sort of more of a broad stroke thing that Florida has, but no.
I dig it.
Yeah, basically. Hell yeah, man.
A lot of rambling. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're good, dude.
I'm all over the place.
We did go from quite a large extreme, tarantulas and centipedes to tortoises. I'm not mad at it, but it was quite the extreme.
Reptile talk and then some.
Right, exactly.
Plus, Reptile talk
plus. Yeah. God, leave it at nerd, Rob.
Oh, not like that. No. I'm like Reptile Talk Premium. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Reptile Talk. This episode of Reptile Talk has been brought to you by plus.
No, no, not like that.
I have a question for both of you.
Yes,
I'm gonna flip the script. Speaking of nerd, because I'm curious.
Yes.
What was the most positive thing you took away from your time working
there? You go first, Rob.
Okay. Learning breeding cycles of reptiles, like really, really well. Learning different cycles of breeding for reptiles, like that is something that is not easy to learn. And seeing the variety
in New Hampshire too. Like, was that a big part of it? Was the fact that it was New Hampshire, or was it the fact that it was nerd and just the sheer amount of projects and stuff going on, or was it a little bit of all of it?
The different number of projects, because there's no place else you can see that many different species being bred under one roof. And like, I didn't have a hand in all of them. I had a hand in a decent amount of them, but the ones that I wasn't working on breeding specifically, I was still talking to the people who were doing it and brainstorming and coming up with ideas and all this different stuff, and learning the follicular development and using ultrasounds and stuff like that. Definitely like the best thing that I could have learned from that.
I feel like the learning curve on an ultrasound is probably pretty steep. You got to really know what you're looking at with that, don't you?
On a snake, it's super easy. Like, I feel like it's super easy on the snakes. On the lizards, it's a little bit more difficult because if you come in at a wrong angle, it's easy to miss things or like see something that you think is something and it's actually something else. But with the snakes, since they're just a tube, you just all the way down, and it's pretty easy as long as you got a second pair of hands there to like pause the
help
thing
hold
and
the snake or
to help hold the snake or whatever. But that is that was definitely it, because there is, like I was saying, I can't think of another place where you could work with and breed as many species as are done there.
Mhm.
Like I can't think of another place that
About
does.
experience.
Most other places is like very specific. Like even if you go to a zoo, you'd have to be in a completely different department to learn to get half the number of species that are produced there. And I think that was probably the best thing. And then also getting in touch with the public and teaching people. That's what I've been put on this earth to do, is to teach people about reptiles, and that's the best thing for me there.
Yeah, did they do a lot of tours and stuff?
I did. Like yeah,
Rob
like,
did a lot.
When I first started there, I mean they've done private tours there forever. Like since before I was born, they did private tours there. So like when I was like 18 or 19, I went on a private tour there, and like the guys who worked there back in the day, they were just like, "Hey, look at this ball python. This is a fancy ball python. Look at this ball python. It's a fancy ball python. Look at this reticulated python. It's a fancy reticulated python. Oh shit, there's a cobra out in the room." Like it was pretty wild, and like it was I think a little bit less organized. And when I got there, since I already have a background in doing educational programs, the first tours that I did was to like, I don't know, 10 people. Like we had on Saturdays and Sundays, they've open tours. So if you show up and you got $10, you can take a tour of Nerd.
Oh, okay.
And on those weekends, we would get 10 people that would show up. So it'd be like me taking 10 people around, take them to Retics, take them to the big alligator snapper, take her to some monitors, show, I like to do just like a little spackling of everything that's up there. And so when I first started doing the tours, it was like 10 people. The last weekend that we did tours there, Jeremy, you remember that?
It was like right before
weekend?
COVID.
Right before COVID, there was
and it was like
180 people that showed up.
Good Lord.
It was nuts. Like we had to split it up with different people and basically play musical Reptile Room to go into each of the different spots. And that was like over the top max capacity, because at that point, even when you split it up into like 4 groups, there's still so many people in there.
Still 30, 40 people per group.
Yeah, it takes forever to get through everything, because people want to touch stuff when the opportunity is available, whatever. So that takes some time. You have to kind of get creative. And then I remember like peeking out the door to see if anybody had moved into another room yet, so that we could move. That was a lot.
And then doing the last, at the end of the tours, I would take out a venomoid cobra, and like people would be way away, but I would still like talk about venomous snakes and show people that like they're not out to kill you. They're and talk about all this different stuff. But when you get bigger groups like that, it's really hard for everybody to even be able to see what's going on. So
yeah, that's when you hold up a hognose snake and you're like, "Hey!"
I did the hognose snake first.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I would be like, I'm going to talk about venomous snakes here, and I would take out a Western hognose snake, and the one that we had would like hiss and huff and puff, and I would take my hand and just like pop it right down on the top, and she would like hiss and go like right up and like headbutt you, but it would never bite.
Yeah,
and everyone would jump because they'd see the snake hit my hand, and I'm like, look, she's not biting at all. She has no incentive to bite, and talk about all that stuff. So I mean, I already had a background in doing educational programs, but that was like one of the most enjoyable parts of doing like working there for me, was doing the educational programs and getting to teach people, because a lot of those people is their first time interacting with a snake, and like people who are terrified their whole life, and then all of a sudden over the hour that they spend with me, all of a sudden they're holding a ball python or petting a corn snake, or at least not afraid of them. There's so many people that I got to interact with like that, and I deeply miss that, because I love sharing reptiles with people like that. And then you'd get the kid who would come back every single week, and they're like saying the stuff that you say before you even say it, and when you take something out, they're like, oh, that's a soul sucker, killer bee, blah 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 blah, and it's like, it just says cool on the tub. I don't know. I think that's this kid's probably right. I think that's what that snake is. But I met a lot of really cool young herpers, like kids who are under 10, but are me when I was under 10. Kids who are like, I caught a big water snake this weekend, and I was out there and I saw some painted turtles and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, how do you know all this stuff? Like you're 8 years old. What the hell?
You are the chosen one, right?
Dude, there's a kid that came to the programs. His name is Caleb, and he is the chosen one. I'm telling you, man, if this kid doesn't end up being someone big in the hobby, I will eat my hat. This kid is so smart. So smart. I remember his parents came, and his parents are like not really crazy about the reptiles, but they love him, and they brought him to the tours. And so he was there. I was asking people if they had any questions about snakes, and he was like, "Do you guys have any black mambas here?" And I was like, "Well, no, we don't really do mambas. They're kind of a little bit more dangerous, and they're really not as pretty." And his dad was like, "But they're like all black, right?" And I don't know, he's like 7 years old. He's like, "Actually, they're not called black mambas because they're black. It's because the inside of their mouth is actually the dark black color, and their head is kind of shaped like a coffin." And I was like, how old are you, kid? What the hell is going on right now?
So you need a job.
And dude, for real, dude, the
probably
last tour that I did with
more ready for the job than most of the staff that were there.
Literally,
go ahead and have the last application, and as soon as you turn 15, you call me.
Exactly,
bro. The last tour I did with him, it was for his birthday, and his request to see, he wanted to see Spilotes, he wanted to see Petias, he wanted to see Crebos, and for the venomous stuff, he really wanted to see what was it? Western Diamondback, I think it was. Dude, I was like, hold on, let's get this stuff out.
Yeah.
Bro, I got a picture of him. He's holding this Petias, dude. The thing is like 9 feet long. It's like wrapped around him twice, and he's holding it out like this, and it's still got 4 foot out in the air. And I'm like, dude, this is the coolest. He's the coolest kid I've ever met in my life, bro. I'm like, dude, this kid is amazing. Not afraid at all. I love it.
Hell yeah.
But that was my favorite part. That's the stuff that really stuck with me from working there.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy?
I think for me, similar to what you were talking about as far as like the access to breeding so many different reptiles. Like for me, I've always had a really diverse collection of stuff, but nothing in comparison to what Kevin's crazy mind wanted to put in that building. And in tandem with that was also having the access to a large number of each species in most cases. Like there were very few things that Kevin just had 1 or 2 pairs of. It was always like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and I just bought 12 of them. Because he's freaking crazy.
Some of it
100%.
With it, you have to play the numbers game with some of those species, because like
100%
something you're probably not going to do well with them.
Exactly.
Listen, that's fair. I don't ever want to see 6 dragon snakes again in my life, ever.
Also fair, but
I'll have a stroke.
But yeah, having the access to that many of each species while you're learning some of those ins and outs, I think provided just that much better of a base foundation for understanding and watching those cycles happen and learning some of the behavior of the species that, if somebody wanted to question you on, you could say with a bit more confidence what you're witnessing, and that it's species, like we're, I could say species wide, but we've got a dozen here versus the guy down the street you're talking about that got 1, right? And I think that was probably the most valuable asset from being there, was that having access to so many of those animals. Like I think about just like basins, Amazon basin emeralds alone, like Kevin probably has one of the biggest collections in the country of them. There's probably only a couple of other people that have anything close. So just getting the opportunity to work with those and really invest the time in those. And I was lucky enough to really be able to bounce around through all of the spaces. So I got a little bit of work with just about every project that we were breeding. And like we were talking about the ultrasound stuff earlier, like, yeah, learning curve on snakes is not that big of a deal, because once you get somebody to hold it, you pretty much know where you need to place that probe. But working with the monitors, again, if you can have somebody helping you out, you kind of figure out where to place that and get that vantage point. But yeah, I also miss the experience working with the monitors. I think out of everything that I did, like the interactions and really understanding the level of intelligence that Salvatore had and has, and even some of the other monitor species, like you're just like, holy crap, man. Like not only these animals misunderstood, but there's just so much that we just don't know. It's not even misunderstanding anything. It's like we just don't understand anything. As far as how deep some of the psychology can go in some of these animals. And I think that's something that I miss a bit, like having the constant access to Kevin, as well, as crazy as he can be. I've known him, Rob and I both known him for well over a decade. And there's always,
I've known him since I was 17, so I'm about to be 36, so that's what, 19 years.
Yeah, right. So it's like, even after all that time, you could still get into a conversation with him, and he's spitting out something that you're like, wait, what? How do you know that? Like, that's kind of crazy. That reference point, it was very valuable for sure.
No, it's an interesting operation.
Very much so. Very much
birds.
So.
Do you ever have birds or anything there?
Yes, I had to hand raise baby birds all the time there.
I missed that, thank God.
Or like
I did parakeets, macaws. I never did the African greys because they were really particular about who they let do that. But what the hell, the lovebirds, all those things.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I want a parrot.
And then,
what
kind?
I don't know. They're all cool, man. Conure or something. Nothing crazy. Nothing massive. I don't want like a hyacinth or anything, but
got the deep pockets. Damn.
Yeah, right.
I have a neighbor that has a Amazon.
Really?
That's cool.
Yeah, what's his name? Don Jose. She got him in Panama in like that bird's like 40 years old. She got it when it was like little, and she's raised it and had it ever since. And he just like out and talks to you and stuff. It's actually, that is one of the reasons I don't know if I do want to pair it, because the way that things talked sometimes sounded so human that if I heard that in the middle of the night, dude, from the other I'd be walking around armed, because I'd be thinking someone was in the house or something, dude.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair.
Because it was like, goodbye. And I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, I guess Don Jose wants me to leave, because
yeah.
And see you later. And
exactly.
Stuff, so.
Sheesh.
You're like, all of a sudden you wake up, you're in the bathtub, you're like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden you see a giant toaster hanging above you. You just, goodbye.
Goodbye. The perfect murder.
I'm gonna pick up my own birdseed now, buddy.
Oh my God.
What if that is like the whole thing is like they're that sentient and they totally want to, but because of their physical limitations, they can't.
They can't. Oh
if
man.
they could, they would.
Oh God.
Has he ever pinned you with his eyes?
I don't think so. I don't know. I've only met him like twice.
Oh, okay. Because like there was a macaw that they had at Nerd. Its name was Sophie, and she really liked me. But when they like somebody, they like, or also if they really don't like you, they'll like pin you with their eyes. So they stare at you, and their pupil goes really big and then really small.
Oh yeah,
like, really quickly.
He was doing that a lot, and I was like, what? Like, it's bright in here, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like.
The eye of the velociraptor
in my face or something. Yeah, I was like, "What is going on? Are you having a little stroke there or something, buddy?"
No, that's just something that they do. They're like, clever girl.
Like I wanted to like pet them or something, but I'm like, I know that this is going to be the one bird that is not about that and is going to absolutely lay into me and like
break your freaking knuckles.
dude.
Ass.
If there's there's I think I'd handle a scolopendra before I took a legit bite from a decent sized
parrot. I will never forget going to visit a friend with my mom. She had an umbrella cockatoo who was actually very friendly. One day my mom's holding it and it just something spooked it and it just freaking right into my mom's forearm and just like, oh God, like I will never forget the sound of my mom reacting to that, but also like the damage that bird did just simply by using its beak. I was just
what
like,
do you even do? Like, do you just like stand there and scream and take it, or do you like
pretty much
in the head, or
you
like
cannot get it off?
You can't do shit. Like it just
go for the eyes.
I was just like, I was horrified because I was already like, birds, they're cool over there. Like, I'm not afraid of them, but I don't really want to interact with them like that.
See, I do, like that's if I'm gonna do one, I want to do it right, man. Like it's gonna be like a dog. Like it's gonna be a part of the family, man. Like I'm not gonna just put it in a cage and leave it in the corner. Like I feel
I'll take a kookaburra, bro. I'll take a kookaburra. Let it dive bomb all of my enemies as they come in. Like I'm cool with that. I'll do a kookaburra all day long, or a toucan, or something like that. I'm down with that. Let's do it. I'll create a freaking tropical greenhouse in the backyard and let that thing live its best life. Like, all for it. But them damn nut cracking parrots, hell no.
I feel like a bite from a toucan would suck just as much, if not more.
No,
or is it because they've got more length? They don't have as much leverage on it as they do like the shorter beaks.
Exactly, and a lot of them are more like fruit or insect eaters, so they don't need quite as much pressure.
That makes sense
to handle that. They just kind of mash it. So
the macaws are like cracking big nuts and shit. They're just like crunch, and you're like, oh, that's.
Dude. And my one experience with macaws was like I was a kid and we were on vacation in Hawaii before my dad got stationed there, and like if you go on the beach, and this was like late 90s, you can take pictures with the macaws, and so they put one on your head, and then you hold one, and like I don't know if they just don't trim the nails on these things or what, but like I had one on my head and like it just dug in. And I just remember standing there like, take the damn picture. Like I was in pain. And I'm like, we just get this over with. Like these birds are awesome, but like I literally feel like it's about to scalp me. Like if it flaps its wings like 2 good times, it's just taken off like oh God. And like we still have that picture floating around my parents' house somewhere, and every time they look at it, they just laugh because they're like they just remember the sheer amount of pain that I was in because that thing was just holding on for dear life by literally the skin on my head.
Oof.
No.
It's every nerd experience ever when a young water monitor jumps from one person to the next and just to hold on. Just like, oh God.
The ones that are like 3 foot are the worst because they jump and then when they land there's weight. So it's just like fish hooks into you. It's so bad. And they're just like,
do you love your job?
I didn't do anything. Job. And they like climb up onto your shoulder and they're like tongue licking you, and you're like, oh fuck, that really God damn, that hurt.
You don't have any food with you to get them to jump off and go somewhere else?
No,
not
all the time.
You can just pick them up. They're not gonna
ride them around like a backpack or something.
Yeah,
they will just hang out with you like a backpack. There was a couple that like while I was cleaning other enclosures, they would just like sit on my shoulder, like just sit across my back and just chill with me while I'm doing
like Yoda.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, no, man, the talons and nails, pass. Unmanicured, nah. Yeah. Are we bringing up bad memories, Rob?
Listen, man, anyone here who's listening, if you come up to me at a reptile expo and I'm wearing a shirt that's not new, a shirt that's older than 3 years old, take a closer look at it, because every single one of my shirts has got little tiny monitor claw holes all over it. Like there's one, I literally just had to throw away a shirt because there was a tear like right over my nipple, and I was like, where did that come from? And there's like a perfect little monitor handprint right around it. I'm like, oh, that's where that came from.
Oh man.
Figures.
Yeah, that shit is rough, dude.
Yeah.
That shit is rough.
Oof.
But Rob, would you rather deal with that or rather be haired by
tarantula? I'll take the monitor claws every day of the week. Every fucking day. I'll take a 6-foot water monitor that's like chilling on me over getting haired anywhere.
I just got a Theraphosa apophysis.
Ooh.
A little baby one. And like when I see that thing kick, man, it's like, close the tank and stop breathing.
Close it up.
Lock it up. I'm gonna make a shirt at some point that just says I work Theraphosa with my shirt off. I feel like the right people will understand. Or like that SpongeBob episode where they're like, "How tough are you?" I work Theraphosa with my shirt off.
No.
Oh God.
Terror. That is somebody who's mentally unwell. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
You gotta really love. There's like a weird sexual fetish of rolling around in fiberglass naked if you like that. Like,
oof.
Bro, did you know that the active ingredient in itching powder up until the early or mid 90s was tarantula hairs? The thing that made itching powder itch was tarantula hairs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's crazy.
And I'm sure they used Theraphosa for it too. I'm sure they were like, just
probably
get like a gang of these things and just really stress them out and just start vacuuming the air.
They're just like scraping the butts off of them.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It cracks me up because like with the brachypelma and like the curly hair and stuff like that, like when they do it, it's kind of like like I'm gonna brush a little off. Like when that little apophysis does it, dude, it's like brrr, like you see that little light just start going, and it's like, mother of God, like no wonder you're bald as shit. Like there's nothing left.
Have you ever been hit with Nandrochromatis hairs?
No, my worst was from Parahybana.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are brutal. I had it all over my hand, not knowing it, and then I went and like rubbed my nose.
Oh,
and, dude, it got all up in the lining of my nose around here.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh my God, it was the worst,
bro.
No.
And I saw it do it, and I was like, "Nah, it's fine." Like,
no, it's not fine.
A little one. This was like a small adult, which I guess small for a Parahybana is still pretty damn big. But like, I watched it kick, and I was like, whatever. And then scratched my nose, and instantly it was just like, right?
Regret.
Oh.
Dude, when I got hit with the Nandrochromatis on my hand, I was using a steak knife to itch it because it would not, like, no matter what you did, it would not fucking itch.
Yeah, I just when I explain people what it's like, I'm like, literally, if you've ever just grabbed fiberglass with your bare hands, I feel like that's like insulation and stuff. That's pretty much what it feels like. It's just, it sucks.
Yeah. Take like every bad mosquito bite you've ever had and then all concentrate it in one tiny area. That's what it feels like. It's horrible.
Hard pass.
It's like there's a reason there's so many Theraphosa in the wild. It's because the predators all learned like these things suck.
Don't fuck with them.
They are huge, but they're also gonna make your life miserable. And like, I can't imagine, dude, getting that stuff in your eye and like seeing pictures of people that got urticating hairs like in their eyes and just how like gnarly it is. Just oof, brutal.
Pass.
Not for me.
And that's why old worlds are better, because
that's right. That's exactly right.
Tarantula than deal with one that's like being a passive aggressive little ass. Like,
yeah, exactly. At least when they're coming to bite me, I know that I can watch out for it. You ever get some hairs that land on something and then you accidentally touch it afterwards? Bro, it's a wrap. That's a wrap on the rest of my day.
Yep. That's why old worlds will forever be better.
Yep.
No matter what Isarg says. I don't have to worry about this Solitaria and, you know, all the cool stuff. Reminds me of Jeremy's leg hairs.
Shut up.
He's just gonna go kick him. He's just
when he gets scared, he starts rubbing him aggressively. He's one of the X-Men, and that's his power. He went to the academy,
man,
and they taught him how to use it. And
bro,
they make you wear like the leather chaps.
Oh,
it's
no.
just, like, inside of your legs, and so then you can like flick them and like shoot them out.
Oh man. Great.
Well,
Great.
on that note, I think we should probably wrap things up here.
Yeah. Jesus.
But Justin, we do have one question that we ask all of our guests on our show, and that question is, in the realm of reptiles, whether it be something that you're working with currently in your own collection or something that you've seen online, what has you excited about reptiles right now?
Wait, sorry. We're just gonna throw that there.
Jeremy, lotion your damn legs, bro.
Like
I do.
Rug fire. Like a rug burn.
Oh
no. What has me most excited? I want to say like the internet and technology, but I also feel like that's also one of the worst things that's happened.
Yes, that's
like
fair.
I can't tell if overall the internet is a net positive or net negative, both for the hobby and for our species as a whole. Because I feel like we were never meant to communicate in mass like this. Like it was never meant to work like that. But at the same time, like we wouldn't have the information and the ability to do stuff like this and like find information, give out information, so it's a tough toss up, but like that is one of the things as far as sort of like we live in an age now where this is like the best time to be in herpetoculture because everything is so accessible now. Like I think about the guys like Eugene Bassett and Trooper Walsh and stuff back in the chondro days, like the early chondro days of like trying to figure this stuff out and not knowing or having any sort of background information or context. Like we're literally just having to kind of guess as far as making things work. And then it takes us, a decade to finally have a solid sort of standard operating procedure to produce certain species that before were thought to be impossible. We're now at a point where it's like, hey, there's a guy in Australia that's producing, green trees or any other species. Like I can actually now reach out to that guy direct and not have to mail him a letter and then wait another month for a letter to come back. Like
if he responds at all.
If I want to talk to Scott Eiper, I can literally just call him on Facebook Messenger at any point.
Yeah.
And within 30 seconds, like I can talk to him. Like the fact that we can do that is mind blowing.
Wild.
And that it's free and it's that easy, and it's even in the last 20 years, what we're able to do now compared to then. We had king snake and that's still a thing, I guess, but like even though it's not used like it was, we can still go back to those early king snake forums and get information that maybe is lost anywhere else or harder to find. And like, just the accessibility to information on stuff now is awesome. And like if I want to learn something or if I want to find some like a paper in particular, like I could go do that. I don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops and like send a bunch of letters and like do all that just to get a single bit of information. Like I can have it in my fingertips in my pocket in 10 seconds.
Moments, yeah.
It's a lot of power that comes with a lot of responsibility, but I feel like we should also do our best to make good use of it,
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. We got to get the 10 people that are into the atriceps and get them all together in a room together, I'm just kidding. Phil, if you hear this, I love you.
Yeah, that's what me and Phil talk about all the time is like, literally, if we want to talk to Scott Eiper or like anyone else anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
Like it's right there. And most people, I found that most people, if you have a question about something specifically, a species or something in particular, most people are willing to help you out and talk about it.
Yes.
100%.
You know, like provided that you come to them in a manner that lets them know that you've actually tried to do some research and tried to find the answer yourself before you came to them and just, wanted to be spoon fed it. Everyone that I've talked to as far as like Jance and I and stuff like that has been really forthcoming and very easy to talk to about things and throw ideas off of. And, so I think that is a great thing. And I'm actually very curious to see what technology and the internet sort of holds for us in the next 10 or 20 years. What's all this going to look like in 2040? It's just like, I keep thinking that we've kind of like, how can it change? Like, how can it get any better or improve upon this currently? It's
And
hard
don't
to
worry, it's just going to be something that we couldn't have even comprehended right now. They're going to be like, oh yeah, we got the brain implant thing, so that now it's just like it 3D lays out the land, so you get actually a UV reading in the spot where you're looking at any given moment, and you can see the exact temperature and all this shit. And I can't believe you guys were using a temp gun back then. What is this? The Stone Age? It's like,
even in that aspect too, man. Like it's wild. Like think about before the internet, if you wanted to know anything about Papua New Guinea, it was like you had to go to the library and dig through God knows how many books and hope that information was right, because it was probably several years old, and I'm sure the overall like temperatures and stuff had changed a lot just on like a standard basis in terms of what the average temperatures were and humidity and things like that. And it's like now, if I want to know what the temperature and humidity is on Biak Island right now, like I could, again, 10 seconds in my pocket, I can pull it up and look
right now.
And it's just is mind blowing. And we are fortunate to live. I feel like the three of us are in that generation. We're the sort of in betweeners, where it's like we didn't grow up with the internet, but we hit an age where we did have it, and so we're kind of ride that fence, like sort of
utilizing
the best
it.
Worlds,
Yep.
I think, so I'm fortunate that I feel fortunate that I'm part of that group, that has the understanding of like getting outdoors and playing outside, and like how technology is a tool, but it can also be detrimental if you let it. And having an appreciation for both and all that. So
Hell yeah,
man.
I think it's a very well-rounded answer.
I ramble a lot.
That's what podcasts are about.
Right, exactly. Hell yeah. Well, if people want to check out what you've got going on, where can they find you? Where's the best place to find you?
Man, I'm a hard guy to get a hold of. Yeah, so the Herpetoculture Network, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. It's got all the different shows that we do. So there's currently the Herpetoculture Podcast, Snakes and Stogies, which we do live on Mondays. I haven't told Phil, but we're not doing one this coming Monday because I'll be out of town. Arachnerds, which is kind of a recent one we started. That's me and Nisar. CondraCast it exists. It's still there. You can still listen to it, but it is. I've laid it to rest.
Shelved. Yeah.
And then Flippin' Tin, which Jake and Skylar Williams do. Kingsnake Chronicles, which is one that Chris Painchab and Harry Claiborne do. Corn Stars, which is kind of sort of in the same realm as Kingsnake Chronicles in terms of like those guys all sort of host it, and it just depends on the guest, I guess, that particular round as to whether or not it's Kingsnake focused or not. So you can find that on Facebook and Instagram as well, just the Herpetoculture Network. Fulvius Apparel, again, Facebook, Instagram, fulviusapparel.com. Added some new stuff today. I got a ton of new stuff that I'm going to be adding probably this weekend. I just got to sit down and actually take the time to do it, because it does take a lot of work to get the mock-ups downloaded and formatted and all that. But I have a ton of stuff that I'm planning to drop here soon. And then Palmetto Coast Exotics. I don't really post on the Facebook page as much anymore, because I've kind of come to really not like Facebook on the business page side of things, because it's a nightmare now.
Yep.
So Instagram is mostly where I do a lot of the posting and stuff for that. But really any of those is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm
Hell yeah, dude.
Try to pay attention to the business suite messages as much as I can. But sometimes it doesn't notify you when people have messaged you, and so I'll go and check my inbox randomly, and it's like someone messaged me about chondros like 2 months ago, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm just now seeing this.
Yeah.
And feeling bad that Facebook failed to notify me about anything. I don't. That's a whole nother thing in itself.
It's a whole other rabbit hole.
As we say that, I'm just like quickly checking an account just to be like, did I miss anything?
It's so bad. They keep adding stuff and trying to make it more convenient, and in doing that, they're only making it worse.
Yeah,
more complicated.
exactly.
What it was like 6 years ago was perfect. Like, why are you guys? You've messed it up. Just go back.
Yeah. Just stop. Just stop.
Not good.
Yeah.
Instagram is where it's at. So
you got it.
Facts.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this evening, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it very much.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Bye.